Monday, everyone. Welcome into the Gramlich and Mac Lane podcast. And Mac, welcome in to football season. It is officially week 0 here in the college football world and in the ACC world, as North Carolina and Florida State will be playing football on Saturday. We have made it. You can take a deep exhale in your car, wherever you're watching this or listening, because we've made it, Eric McLean, finally.
Come on, KG, let's go. It is game week. I'm jacked up. I'm excited. We have football to talk about. It's a little bit of a tease, if you will. We only get 2 teams, but, man, I'm just so excited to talk about it. No more Saturdays without college football until, like, mid-January. So this is perfect. It's a big week. Obviously, we're wrapping up. We're finishing our season previews here. Today, we've got the Clemson Tigers and Dabo Sweeney. Wednesday, we're going to have the Nardoos and the Pitt Panthers. Super excited for that conversation. And then Friday, guys, we're here. We're talking about the weekend. We're previewing the weekend. As I said, FSU, Carolina, they're playing in week 0. So a nice little week 0 to get us ready and prepped up before we start this sprint, KG, to January.
Can't wait. I love doing our Friday episodes. It's one of my favorite things where we make picks. We're going to be focusing a little more on making picks against the spread this year, not just straight up. So that's going to be really fun. I can't wait for that. And, of course, we've been talking about win totals this whole season preview. So if you want to go back and listen, if you want to know where we stand on UNC's win total, go listen to that episode. But without further ado, Eric McLean, we're talking Clemson. We are talking with the man, Dabo Sweeney. Let's see what he has to say. Let's talk with Dabo.
Coach Dabo Sweeney, great to have you back on the podcast. Super excited to talk to you today. Listen, you've had vacations, you've had proposals in the family, the ladies' clinic. You've had a busy summer, my man.
Yeah, it has been really busy. A lot of fun, just really this has kind of been our first normal summer since 2019. 20 obviously was what it was, and then last year in 21, we were able to do camps again, but it was limited. We couldn't do a youth camp, and then the high school camps were very limited. Our ladies' clinic was restricted. There was a lot of things. So this summer, to be able to, our coaches weren't out on the road in 21. In 21, 20 or 21. So this is really the first time for our coaches to get out on the road. Really, having full access to Clemson all spring for recruiting, through May, June, et cetera. Full-blown camps, youth camp back in full force, which was a lot of fun, having the little ones back on campus. And then the ladies' clinic that we just had, too, being able to really, do it, the way we like to do it. So it's been a busy summer, and Drew getting engaged.
Come on.
That was kind of a curveball. I knew that was coming at some point, but man, it was it comes fast. We moved Clay into Clemson, became empty nesters this summer. So there's been a lot going on in our household for sure, but it's all good and it's been a lot of fun.
Good.
Well, Coach, I had the pleasure of attending the ladies' clinic, and as we all know, what happens at the ladies' clinic stays at the ladies' clinic. So, I can't give too much away, but it was a great time. You hit that gritty.
Evidently not.
With certain things that have gone around on social media. But anyway, I want to ask you about this, though, because I was able to host the fashion show with Nick Eason, and I had seen him on Twitter, and I knew, okay, this guy's a big personality. And meeting him was just a blast. And then you see what he's doing in recruiting. I mean, has he lived up to what you thought he could be when you hired him? Oh,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, first of all, he's a Clemson man, he loves Clemson. He's a guy I almost hired the last time, but, he was kind of entrenched in the NFL at that time. And this was just the right time. And there was really I had a very short list of like 3 people. He was first call I made, and I knew he'd be a great fit. And obviously him being in college and getting he hadn't been in college long, but he had a little bit of college experience and being down there at Auburn. But I really wanted a guy that had a lot of NFL experience simply because of the type of roster that we have. And I thought that was going to be important, for that group, because we have a high-level group of veteran guys. And some really, really talented young guys that I think will all have a chance to play at the next level one day. So his experience as a player, his long-term experience as a coach was what we needed. But then just on top of all of that, the fact that, this guy has lived and breathed everything here at Clemson before I got here. But he's always stayed connected to the program, and I've gotten to know him over the years. And big personality. He's great with people, and he's very genuine and authentic. All he's got to do is be Nick Eason.
That's right.
And he's going to be successful. So in whatever he does, and so he's been awesome. He's done a great job with recruiting his position in his area, and then just really bringing a lot to our staff defensively as well.
I love that, Coach. So let's jump into your team a little bit here, and just really, I want to start with the mindset of your team. I mean, is it a little bit different coming off of such a bad season last year?
Yeah.
I'm joking. Isn't that fascinating, though? Seriously, that what you have built, and you can win 10 games for the 11th straight year, and the sky's falling. I mean, it is actually nuts. What everybody else was kind of saying and talking about the Tigers, and that it's never going to happen again, it's dead. I mean, it's baffling, but it's kind of a compliment to you in what you've built.
I you know me, I don't buy into that narrative. Listen, I've had championship teams that won championships that weren't as committed, weren't as dedicated, didn't have the passion, the leadership, the chemistry as that team of last year. That team last year was special. Be quite honest with you, we probably didn't have any business winning 10 games, but they did. And there's not been many teams that we've had in a long time around here that have had their back up against the wall like that group. At 4-3, and you got to play a hot Florida State team. You got to go to Louisville. You got to play probably the Atlantic Division champion Wake Forest. You got to play a hot South Carolina team coming off a big win against Auburn and Florida, and night game at their place. You got to go beat a tough Iowa State team, and you go from 4-3 to really the least personnel that we had all year, and we played our best football somehow, some way. And what that is a credit to the foundation of this program. It's a credit to guys like yourself, to all the players who've come in here that have helped us build a foundation of effort and toughness and discipline and attitude and belief in self and team. And that's what won the day for us. I mean, I measure every team, not on championships. I mean, if not winning a 7th ACC title in a row means we had a bad season, then I guess we had a bad season. If not going to 7 playoffs in a row means we were terrible, then I guess we were terrible. But I've never measured anything by that. I measure our teams based on how they're committed to the standard that we talk about. Being their best. You're not going to win a championship every year. I mean, and people forget. Back when we won our first one in 11. We hadn't won one in 20 years here. Right. We hadn't won 10 games in 20 years. If it was so easy, how come it was 20 years since it happened?
Right.
And now we've won 7 titles, and we've had 11 10-win seasons. So, last year we lost to the national champion, Georgia, and they didn't score on us, in really a 2-play game. We lose in double overtime to a really good NC State team at their place on the last play. We lose to a great Pitt team who won the league. We battled. We were in position. That team last year, I think, really showed what Clemson is all about. And at 4-3, we had more of an opportunity to probably – because everybody was watching. And there's a lot of people out there that pull against us, and they want to see this big collapse, and you go 4-8 or something. But that ain't happening. We got a great group of people, great staff, really talented team. And last year was a challenge, man. I mean, we haven't had adversity like that around here in a long time. We've had disappointment, as you've heard me say, but losing a playoff game is disappointment. Losing a national championship game is disappointment. Alabama's been in their last 5 national championship games. They're 2-3. Those are hard games. But we had some adversity last year. We had some real challenges, and the best part about it was, to me, there was a complete reset on the appreciation of winning and how hard it is to win and what it takes to win. And as I tell our guys all the time, I can't change what it takes. I mean, it takes what it takes. I can't change that. And I think even for our fan base, not losing respect for winning. We don't lose respect for the blessing. We've been incredibly blessed around here, and we've won a lot of games. And I think last year was a good reset on how small the margin for error is, and just how quickly. But it was also, to me, a reset on the foundational structure that this program has been built on, and it was awesome to see. We go from 4-3 to now we have the longest winning streak in the country going into 2022 with 6 in a row.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
That right there tells you how hard it is to win in college football, and we've won 6 in a row. So, 10-3. It was a great year for that team, and I'm really, really proud of them. So. Yeah, we want to win championships, and if we continue to be committed to the standard and be about the things that we talk about, stand on the foundation that we have, we'll win more championships. But the championships are a byproduct of all those things, the purpose of the program, how we do things, how we buy into those things. It was a fun year, and I think it'll serve this group well.
Coach, you bring up the adversity. We know the injuries really piled up last year. Everyone knows about that, especially at the wide receiver position. And of course, DJ was dealing with injuries throughout the year. So what has this offseason been like for DJ, and what specifically have you guys been working with him on?
Yeah, he's had a great offseason, and it wasn't just injuries. It was specific to offense. It's amazing to me, some of these narratives and rhetoric that people can have, and it's just they just have no understanding of personnel and how hard it is. You don't just roll a ball out there. DJ has to play better. There's no question about that, and he lost his confidence. But more importantly, we got to be better around him. And it's not that we weren't trying, but we had so many challenges in the offensive line and at receiver everywhere. You're starting end of the year. You're starting two true freshmen wide. If you'd have told me we're going into the end of the year, we're going to start Bo Collins and Bakari Collins, I'd have said something went wrong somewhere. Right. And starting freshman running backs, and we've got all kind of we got like 6 linemen. Everybody's hurt. 3 different centers, and next thing you know, your quarterback, he doesn't have any continuity around him, and then. For him in that first time being in that position and having to grow through the struggle and the criticism, all that's part of it. Next thing you know, you're pressing and you're trying to do too much, and it's not a good result. But what I love about last year was watching DJ go through it, and he played his best football down the stretch when we had the least available for him. That kid never pointed fingers. He never made excuses. He never blamed anybody. All he did was lead. All he did was show up every single day. And man, I am a big DJ fan, man. This kid he's humble. He's a servant leader. He's incredibly smart. He's incredibly committed. Our best players on this team are our best leaders and our most committed guys. And when you have that, you got a chance to have something special. But DJ, man, he went back to work. First of all, just as a team trying to get healthy. It's been crazy. I've never had a year like that, and hopefully never again. But getting DJ healthy and getting his finger healed up, getting his knee healthy, getting him mentally healthy where he needs to be from a mindset standpoint. And then just going back to the basics of what made him. It's not like he forgot how to play football. This guy's people. You better put your money on DJ U. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's right.
And everybody needs to just pick sides right now. Just go one way or another, and then own it. All right. Don't change your mind. Own it.
I like that. Come on.
This kid is going to be a great player, football player for a long time. But man, he went to work on his body, as he's maturing. And I mean, he's probably, and he wasn't, it's not like he was fat. He's never been a fat kid. I mean, he just kind of changed the composition. I mean, it really leaned up. He's never going to be a little guy. He's a big man. But I mean, he's probably lost 25 to 30 pounds. Completely restructured his body. He's gotten his knee fortified and really healthy. He's running, just incredibly well. He's gotten stronger. He's really worked on, just everything that comes with the quarterback position. But, he gets it. He had a great spring for us. And the biggest thing is just being the leader of the team, not just of the offense. And he has really grown in that area.
I love that, Coach. And just to hear his process, taking care of your body, the mental part, the physical, the fundamentals, hoping to see a new DJ and to see that 2020 type guy that we did see shades of. You mentioned the injuries. You mentioned the not being available. But one guy, when he was there, man, he emerged as a superstar and probably one of your best leaders right away, and that's Will Shipley. I mean, how special is that dude? And just why? I mean, why was he so different from such a young age?
Yeah, he's just, he's been that's just who he is, first of all. I mean, wish I could say it was something that we did, but that's who he is. He's been doing that since little leagues, I mean, he's been that guy. And he's an incredible leader. He's incredibly committed. He's passionate about the game. He's passionate about the process of what it takes to be great from every aspect, from strength conditioning, nutrition, sleep, flexibility, you name it, explosiveness. And he leads. I mean, from the time he got here as a freshman, he's been a leader. He's one of those rare people that shows up and right out of the gate, he's a leader. And, he doesn't sit around and wait on anybody to tell him what to do, and then when you tell him what to do, that's a good suggestion for Will Shipley. He's always going to be above and beyond what you ask him to do. And when that's who you are, naturally, everybody notices that. And so he separated himself from that standpoint, his maturity right out of the gate. And then as he got comfortable with the system and all those things, and then he battled through injuries, so we ended up losing him from some games. But he's a dynamic player, and you saw that really. I mean, we have a special group of backs. Kobe Pace is a great football player, and the thing is, they're all different.
Right.
Kobe is all three of them are going to be NFL players. There's no question about that. I mean, these are three really good players, but Kobe and Shipley, and then Maffa's 230 pounds and runs a 4.4, and who we really were trying to hold last year, and we ended up having to play him, so he got some good experience, and now he's confident. He got all the work this spring because we had to hold Shipley and Kobe to get them healed up through surgeries, and so now you got a three-headed monster back there, and all of them are very confident. They're all dynamic, and they all can bring a lot of things to the table and do everything we need them to do. But certainly Will, he's that fire. He is that fire for sure.
Coach, we know you've got a busy day ahead, going to Charlotte next couple of days. So let's finish off here and talk a little defense. Mac and I love offense. We got to hit some defense here. This defense, especially the front, it's really unparalleled. I mean, even with what y'all have had in previous years, the experience on this front, the NFL talent, how good can this defense be, Coach?
As good as they want to be. It really can. I mean, this group has the star power, if you will, of our 16 and 18 team, but they've got the depth of 14. Which I think is the best defense we've probably had here is 14 from a totality standpoint, depth-wise. Our 18 team, everybody remembers the superstars, with Dexter and Christian and Austin and Clee, and Albert was right there with them too. But there was a big drop-off behind them from experience standpoint, just inexperienced youth and all that. Whereas this group, they're built like that 14 group, when we were rotating Vic Beasley and Shaq Lawson and Dodd and Crawford and Barnes and, DJ and Carlos.
Monsters.
And Brady Jarrett and Deshaun Williams. And all those guys are still in the NFL.
Right.
And Mac was trying to block him in practice.
And I was trying to block all of them.
So we just had more depth. And, we used to – Mac, you remember, the only guy that really – all those D tackles. You're talking Deshaun Williams. He's still with the Broncos. Grady Jarrett, where he is. Carlos Watkins, he's still going. DJ Reader, he's still going. And then we had Josh Watson in there. And you had all these guys. And I never knew who was going to start until they ran out there. But the only guy I knew was going to start was Grady Jarrett, because that was who Grady just separated himself. That's just how he is. And he's kind of done the same thing at the NFL level, right? Guys usually don't change who they are. But Dan Brooks, he'd grade them through Tiger Walk, because we had all these guys, all 5 of them really honestly deserved to run out there first. But I never, and didn't really care. And, man, Dan would just roll them guys. Here comes Deshaun, here's Carlos, here's Reader, here's Grady, here's Josh. And they just wore people out. And we had room for error, with that group. Our 18 team, we got lucky. We didn't have much room for error, but we stayed healthy all year. Same thing at quarterback, we've never had a quarterback room like we have right now. This is the best quarterback room I've ever had as a Clemson football coach. I've never had a room like this.
Right.
And our 18 team, it was Trevor, Chase, and Hunter Renfrow and Will Spires. From game 4 on. But we stayed healthy. Right. We caught some breaks. You got to have a little luck along the way. This quarterback room, man, you're sitting there with DJ and Cade and Hunter Johnson, a 6-year vet, and Billy Wiles and Hunter Helms, and, man, little Trent Pierman rolling in here. We got guys that can play the game, but defensively, man, it's going to all start for us up front. And then those 4 DNs, KJ and Maskell and Thomas and Murphy, man, you can play those guys in any situation, however you want to play them. And Kevin Swint is not far off. Mm-hmm. He's kind of right there. Mm-hmm. So, we're going to lose a lot of guys next year to the draft, but you best believe we're going to enjoy having them here for the next 7 months, however long we got them.
No question, Coach. Well, hey, we appreciate your time. We know you're busy. You got to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck this season. Hopefully not another bad one.
All right. Hey, y'all keep it rolling. Sounds like y'all are on y'all's way to rock star status from the podcast world.
As always, we appreciate when Dabo Sweeney joins the pod. And I loved at the end, Mac, where he said, or at least at the beginning, we were talking with him. I think it was before he went on air. And he was like, "Oh, you guys have a podcast." And we were like, "Coach, you've been on the podcast before."
Hey, Coach, CT is not an excuse, man. You're a wide receiver. Like, you're not getting hit. Come on. Just think about it.
Look, he's a busy man. But we've never had a coach that actually came on the podcast before say, "Wow, you guys have a podcast."
How long have y'all been doing this?
How long have y'all been doing
Whatever.
this? We love it. Okay, Mac, you're wearing your paw today. This is the one episode where you can wear your tiger paw and no one's going to say boo. That you are an alum. You are one of the winningest players ever in Clemson history. So let's talk Clemson, and let's dive into maybe our expectations here, Mac. As everyone and their mother knows, Clemson finished 10-3 last year, 6-2 in the ACC, won the Cheez-It Bowl, and we got to meet Prince Chedward, which was a blessing and gift to us all. Won the Cheez-It Bowl, beat Iowa State. But the real story here was they did not win the ACC for the first time since 2015, and that's a long stretch. We know Clemson had a ton of injuries, even players that played through injury. DJU was injured really throughout a lot of the season. Will Shipley was out, all these injuries, and, of course, wide receiver issues, and Brian Brzee. The list goes on and on. So expectations going into this year, Mac. Winning the ACC, I think, is right at the top. They were picked by the media. Do you have playoff expectations for this team just going into the season?
Yeah. Here's the deal. Clemson, since that 2015 year, they've set that standard. That's the expectation is championship. And maybe not winning it, but getting there. That's the expectation, to play in the national championship, to be in the college football playoff. That is the norm. You know, they did it 6 straight times. That's what is expected by fans, by the staff, by these players. And that's a good and bad thing. Obviously, there's disappointment when you do not reach that and the sky is falling and all this stuff happens. But the reality is, you won double-digit games for the 11th straight time. I mean, it's an unbelievable accomplishment to be able to, have that
third best streak ever.
Right.
Third best streak ever. Right. Only Florida State and Alabama.
So it's nuts. 2 ACC teams. Huh? That's crazy. So it's nuts to just look at that and to see what you have created for yourself. But that's a good thing. It's good to be in rare air. It's good to have expectation. I mean, imagine if you're a team walking into a season and, man, can we win an ACC game? Man, can we get 5? Can we go bowling? I mean, just think of the problems that other, schools and fans and folks you deal with, and you look at your problems and you're feeling okay. So, yes, right. I do have that expectation. And, again, just coming off fresh, from being down with Clemson and being able to see them in person. I know we're going to dive into all this. And, KG, you were able to watch practice, too, the week before. These guys are going to be good. I mean, the defense specifically is going to be unbelievable. I had an expectation kind of in my head of what I thought it would look like, and they surpassed it. And I know some people are going to say, well, this guy's a homer, this and that. I know what I'm looking at, okay? I've seen all of it. I've been to almost every school, and, I know what's there, and I know the body types and the speed and the size. These guys are going to be the best defense in the country. It's going to set up that way. And Wes Goodwin, I know some people are worried about that, and Coach Venables going to Oklahoma. This guy's got it. The things that I saw at practice, kind of knowing what you're looking at, the fronts, the schemes, the blitzes. He's a mad scientist, too. I mean, he's doing some stuff that I never saw Coach Venables do, which is crazy to think about. So he's going to put this defense in really good situations to win just from a start. And then when you add in, that talent and that depth, they're going to take it another level and truly be this dominant force. So we'll dive into the defense, I know, specifically here in a second. And just offensively, kind of my quick overview. It's still going to come down to quarterback play. Can DJ, be better than what he was a year ago? If K gets the opportunity, what does he do with that? I have seen and read and heard the word competition a lot more than I thought I would. In articles and coaches saying that, in the media. So that's a little interesting tidbit. And what does that, truly mean? Do we see a change sooner than maybe we expected, if we expected one at all? Offensive line looks much improved. We'll dive into those guys in a second. Wide receivers, some guys I think need to step up. You need to have a true kind of go-to guy. And then running backs, that's probably the strongest unit of the offense there. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, KG.
Okay, let's talk offense here. And, it's funny because people say you want to go against the homer thing, but I have had Mac send me bullet points after practice last year and after practice this year. And the dude can be very honest, and I'm not going to share all of those, but I want to get into one of those things specifically, which is your position, in just a second. But when it comes to quarterback, here's my main concern, because that's what everyone's talking about, Mac. DJ Uiagalelei, Cade Klubnik, and I think the word competition, to your point, has been used a lot. And it is a competition. Now, DJ is going to start against Georgia Tech. Barring anything crazy, that's going to happen. Here's my concern with the QB situation, Mac. I don't feel like this is different from the 2018 season a little bit. The quarterback position itself, I don't think is really going to be challenged or, for lack of a better term, needed until maybe the NC State game because of the Sam Hartman injury. And maybe Wake, because Wake's still going to be able to score. But those first 3 games, how much can we actually learn? I think it's going to be a lot of screen passes. I think it's going to be a lot of hand the ball off to these running backs. So it might delay what could happen in a changing of the guard. Who knows? I just don't know how much we can learn about these quarterbacks against Georgia Tech, Furman, and Louisiana Tech.
Well,
do you agree or disagree?
Here's the deal: is you have to learn. You have to push them.
But how much of the playbook is going to be open?
Well, when I don't know my guy, I have to see who can handle it. And depending on how much of a true situation it is, like, again, they're being super tight-lipped about it, but they are, like, saying things like, the word competition. I hadn't heard that all summer. Then all of a sudden, I feel like I start reading it in every interview.
Sure.
If it's a true competition, like DJ's going in for 2 series, Cade's going in for 2 series, it's all a test. You have to see who can throw the ball downfield, who can avoid the blitz, who can process a long developing play. It can't just be, we've got Taj Boyd, we have Deshaun Watson, we have Trevor Lawrence, inside zone left, inside zone right, throw a fade, score a touch. Like, you have to see what they can do. You have to see what they can process.
We know, and I hear you. I mean, every snap will be scrutinized. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. Of course that is. But I'm not sure that any quarterback can lose his job against Georgia Tech, Furman, and Louisiana.
Well, I'm just saying.
That's my point.
Well, I think you can. I mean, if you go in there and you can't hit a deep route, if you go in there, either one of them. I'm not saying just DJ.
But with the level that DJ is supposedly ahead, like the guy, I just don't know, because some people were saying, you might see a quarterback change before.
Well, let me tell you this too.
I'm very doubtful.
If the team, and again, I don't want this to be negative towards DJ. If the team sees a quarterback go in and is very efficient with the ball, can hit every pass and scores touchdowns, either one that it is, the team will pick a quarterback, and you're going to hear from your guys who the guy is, and so. It's so different than anything Clemson's been in this situation before, because it is just trying to figure out who can be the guy, who can take a big step forward. And so that's why I really do think that you're not just going to see this vanilla game plan that you have before from Clemson in the early season, because you don't know who can be your true guy. Like, you have to find out, because if you're figuring that out against NC State or against Wake Forest, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You can't develop that against an NC State.
Let's revisit this.
October 1.
Let's revisit this. Yeah, maybe after Louisiana Tech, because I just don't really see a challenge where a quarterback might get benched in one of these games. But I could be wrong. We will see. But, okay, speaking of Mac being at times brutally honest, let's talk O-line. Because I remember, and you probably don't want me to say this,
you could say it. You could say
last year,
it's true.
after you went to a practice or a scrimmage or whatever, you texted me and you said, this O-line is going to struggle. This year, you texted me and you said, this O-line looks really good.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Elaborate on that,
I'm just excited about the growth. And, to see guys, they move some guys around. They're putting folks in different positions. They're feeling really good about the first 5 they run out there. And they just look like a totally different unit. I mean, a year ago, remember, it's still against this defensive line. And last year, they just couldn't handle it. It was every other play. DJ's getting hit. They can't run the ball, can't do anything. And it's just like, man, this is going to be tough. And that's when I texted you. This is not going to be good, especially looking at Georgia, week 1. And we saw the outcome of that.
That's a big difference.
Right. And then this year, I see them going against those same guys. And, again, some folks moved around, a couple new faces. And they're winning reps. It's much more 50-50, and just seeing them being able to do the things necessary to play offense, to give your quarterback time, to run the football effectively. And so I think that there was, kind of that switch that flipped during the year where we saw Clemson kind of figure out their identity. Okay, we have to run the ball. We've got to lean on our bigs up front, and who can be up there in the first 5 to do so. And so with that, it's much more promising. The body types that, Clemson is getting farther and farther away from, these stocky, more athletic type guys and just getting dogs. I mean, you look at the recruits that, they have committed for next year. I mean, it's some big, big dudes. And so Clemson is, with Coach kind of coming in and doing different things, Thomas Austin, the kind of mindset that he has is changing of what it's going to look like, what we're going to do, and just putting guys in the certain situation to win. So I'm excited about that unit. Again, was brutally honest about them a year ago, telling you what I see and what I think this year. Obviously, live bullets are when you can really tell and when it's a game situation. But that should be back to a strength of Clemson football this year.
And I know that makes Mac
It
proud.
does. Makes me a little happy.
No doubt
Makes me
about
happy.
Yeah, I could tell, and it should. Okay, running backs and wide receivers. These two groups, I think, are so interesting this year for Clemson. You have a loaded running back room. Will Shipley, Phil Maffa, Kobe Pace, 3 proven guys. And I know Shipley had some injuries last year, but 3 healthy guys. And then you've got this wide receiver room with talent everywhere, but injuries are still piling up. So I do think, and that's part of my theory with the whole quarterbacks early on, I think you are going to run the heck out of the ball early because you can with these opponents, but also if you're looking at 2 groups, which one do I believe in? Which one can I trust? I can trust these running backs.
No question about that. I mean, you look at that room and it is stacked. I mean, 3 guys that, number one, love to play with each other. And I spoke with Shipley when we did the little summer tour there and just asked him, in a world that tells you to worry about yourself, how do you guys have such a loving, caring relationship?
That was a great question.
Yeah, thank you. And his answer was just so cool. And to see all those guys in practice, stand right beside him as they're going through stuff, and to hear them coaching each other as they come off the field and asking them, what'd you see? Why'd you take that lane? This and that. It's a very unique thing that I just haven't, quite experienced in my career, number one, for those guys to be that close, in a margin of separation of talent, but also as a friend group, fighting for playing time. And then I sat down with old CJ Spiller, Coach Spiller, and said, what the heck are you going to do? How are you going to, keep these guys happy? He said, I have the easiest job in America. Number one, they all love each other. Number two, they're all really good. One gets tired, I put another one in. I mean, it's super simple.
Wow.
And so, it's going to be great to see how does Clemson use those guys. When I think back to, Coach Satterfield in the App State days, and even really what he's done at Louisville, and, he always wants 3 backs. Clemson, Clemson's kind of had a marquee guy and then have a couple of really nice backups, but this is much more like what he wants to do, and he just rotates. I mean, it could be one week Kobe just has a better week, and he's the guy. He's the starter, and nobody cares. It's just we're all going to get our reps. We're all going to do our thing, and, really lean on those guys. I don't think there's any question that if I'm Clemson this particular year, given the certain situation, I'm maybe doing a couple running back sets every other play or so, and I'm getting multiple tight ends on the field, and I'm going to be much more of a power team, than Clemson has in the past. So it'll be interesting to see, how do they utilize the running backs, the tight ends in the passing game a lot more, but also just relying on the run. I mean, control the clock. You got an unbelievable defense. I mean, it breaks people's will when you run the ball like that on them, and it's something that really can put stress on folks.
When you were at practice and seeing different things going on, did you see a little bit of an emphasis on using the running backs in the passing game, especially with some of the injuries?
Not more than normal. And again, I think that scrimmage that we did see was a little bit vanilla. And I think they were just trying to keep guys. A lot of the superstars did not play a ton. Like half the defense was out after the first couple of series. Some of these starting.
Well, and you had XT legit get hurt in the first scrimmage, so that can.
So they're taking care of their guys. So I think defensively we probably saw a little bit more than we did offensively in regards to what they're truly going to be. And some of it was just situational too. Like it was, blow the whistle, we're going to run a play from here, keep going, whatever. So I don't think it was a true snapshot of what this offense is going and will look like.
Okay, Mac, it's time. Let's talk defense. This defense, I think I said this about NC State's defense. NC State's defense is going to be spicy. Clemson's defense is going to be like the hottest hot sauce you have ever imagined. And I think it is going to be, at least right now, I have to see games, but I think it is going to be the best in the country. When you pair this kind of front with this kind of talent and depth with a linebacker room that's young, but, and I heard you say this on the ACC road trip show, but could be an upgrade as much as Clemson loved what Skalski and Spector and all these guys brought. These guys are freaky, Trenton Simpson and the crew. And then you're bringing back a guy like Nakuba, who's your ACC Rookie of the Year, to kind of anchor you in the back. And you are replacing Goodrich and Booth. I think that's the big question. But, Mac, is this defense going to be the best?
I think so. And really it starts up front with, just who they have. And when you look at dominating teams, when you look at, recent history, and I think of Georgia a year ago, I think of Clemson in 18, you think of, the Alabamas that they've had, Clemson in 16 and 14. It all starts with your D-line. How good can those guys be?
Does.
And this, it's so funny for Clemson fans that are listening that remember this is a perfect blend of 2014, which had unbelievable depth, still has like 5 guys who played on that line in the NFL right now, and 2018 that had 3 first-round draft picks at defensive line. Combine those two, those two together, and you get the Avengers. You get what we're looking at right here in this Clemson defensive line: Miles Murphy, Tyler Davis, Brian Brzee, KJ Henry, and then all these guys behind them: Trey Williams. You've got Maskell, you've got Ruka Rororo, Trey Williams. It's nuts to see the deep. Peyton Page, a young guy I haven't even mentioned.
Huge.
It's crazy to see how many guys they can rotate. Now, again, that first 4, they're the superstars, but the young guys right behind them, more than capable of delivering and being, big-time players in big-time moments. I think that Clemson's going to have 5 defensive linemen drafted in this NFL draft. I really do. I think it's that good. It's that impressive. And they're going to wreak havoc. I mean, they're old, they're experienced. The biggest thing, similar to NC State, is you just have to stay healthy, which obviously one guy already down in XT, Xavier Thomas, who, it sounds like he's going to be back and will be, there by hopefully mid-September. You don't want to see anybody injured. Same thing with Sam Hartman. I mean, I hope he's available game 1, but I know that's, not probably going to happen. So anytime superstars go down for any team, we don't want to see that. But when I keep looking at this team, KG, the one point of emphasis that I really had studying wise was the linebacking core, that I was just like, man, how do you replace those guys? They've been here so long.
How
they're,
do you get
they're
better?
so good. They're making 10 plus tackles in the NFL in their first preseason game in Spectre. How do you possibly, it's going to be down from that. And it's not. It absolutely isn't. And this is the part where I talk about, I thought they were going to be good, but this is what the linebacking core blew me away, because Trenton Simpson's moving to the inside. He's going to be a freak. He's closer to the ball. They're moving him around, putting him on guards. I mean, I would hate to have had to block an athletic guy like that in my time. I call him Weapon X. Then Weapon Z, Barrett Carter. Coach Sweeney has said numerous times he's the best football player he's ever seen. He can play safety. He can play linebacker. He can play corner. He can play running back. He can return kicks. Like, he's just a freak. I mean, he's 6'2", 225 pounds. Like, he's the perfect, football player. And they put him at linebacker. And so, he's exceptional, just a really smart guy. And then the third starter is going to be Jeremiah Trotter. And if you remember that name, one of the best players in the NFL ever, his father. And so, when you see these guys line up and the way they move, I'm not saying it's NC State, 'cause I think they are the best in the country. But next year, these guys will be the best in the country. And so, they're right there. They're nipping on the heels, and they're going to be ready to go. And that front seven is going to be scary. It's going to be really scary.
Yeah, it is, for sure. And I think, just hitting on the secondary here, we talked about Makuba. We saw Mario Goodrich at the Senior Bowl. Andrew Booth was a very high draft pick. It seems that there isn't much concern replacing those guys overall. Nate Wiggins, people are very excited about Nate Wiggins, Sheridan Jones, Toriano Pride. Are you concerned at all replacing those two dudes?
How crazy is it that I can sit here and say that I'm not at all, and that I think Nate Wiggins is going to be a first-round draft pick when his time comes? I mean, this guy is 6'2.5", 190 pounds. He's a freak. He's probably a little bigger AJ Terrell. I mean, and you saw what he was able to do and the things that he was able to do. And then I see, a freshman in Lucas. I see Toronto Pride. I mean, these guys, they're just ready. They're just different. And Clemson's going to be just fine in the secondary. It might be a little bit of a secret right now. And obviously you and I went to practice and we know, but those guys are different and they're ready to roll.
Special teams. Let's chat about this for a second before we talk schedule and win total. BT Potter is back. I think you had him ranked as your number one kicker in the league. He is solid. Every kickoff's going to be a touchback. Like, you're good there. Punter.
BT Potter. Here we go.
I'm a little concerned, Mac. Have you ever been in practice as an offensive lineman and a punter hits you in the back of the head with a punt?
I haven't. So maybe a field goal.
That
maybe
allegedly
a field goal.
happened.
There's some friendly fire that can happen on that, but punt. We'll talk about this with Pittsburgh here Wednesday too, but they're having a punter problem as well. I don't know what at the top. I don't know what's up with the punters.
What's crazy about punting is, and we've seen it. Clemson fans know very well how a punter can be a weapon. Alabama in that 2015 title game was there. I forget their punter's name, but he was just punting the ball like crazy, and it can be a real weapon flipping the field. So. We'll see what happens there. I think, honestly, if you're looking at Clemson and you're saying, what's your biggest concern? It might be punting. Let's talk schedule here, Mac. We alluded to this with the opening part of the schedule. Much more manageable than last year opening with Georgia. You're able to establish yourself. You're able to keep it vanilla. You're probably able to gain more confidence from these opening games. But overall, 4 ranked teams on the schedule, 4 preseason ranked teams, which seems like the most in a long time. You're going to go at Wake Forest. We'll see what happens with Sam Hartman there. NC State at home, at Notre Dame, and then Miami at home late in the year. The win total is at 10.5, 10.5. I would have to think that most people are leaning over on this because even with those 4 ranked teams, especially with the Hartman injury, even though Clemson seems to handle Wake most years, it's tough to find 2 losses if you're trying to predict it out and assuming health.
And when I look at those initial rankings and just see, okay, who's still going to be ranked? Is anyone going to be ranked higher when Clemson plays them? I think NC State and Miami.
I think
NC State and Miami have a real shot to be ranked higher. I don't know if Notre Dame will be ranked when Clemson plays them. I think they're going to get obliterated by Ohio State week 1. And then from after that, physically and mentally, how do you move on? Like how does Notre Dame respond to that? And I love their head coach, and I think he's going to get them in an unbelievable direction. Number 1 recruiting class in the country right now. But this year might be a little painful for the Gold Domers, the Jordan Cornettes over there. And then I see a team like Louisville or Florida State. Could they possibly be ranked when Clemson plays them? Or South Carolina. My goodness. I mean, they might have.
I was going to say, maybe the Gamecocks if we're just going off preseason hype, they should probably
it's going to be interesting to see how this schedule obviously adapts and changes when Clemson actually plays people. But, yeah, I'm going over. I mean, I think, again, I jokingly say it all the time, but I think this is return of the king. I think Clemson's going to be back. I think Clemson will exude their dominance and will and just be that team that we're used to seeing one way or the other. Whether it's with that crushing defense or if offensively they can get it going through the air. So I'm going over, and I feel really confident about these Tigers. Game of the schedule, though, October 1. Can't wait. I mean, for all the reasons, that's the ACC game of the year. And, it's a shame that there are still divisions this one last time because I'd love to see a repeat. Whatever the outcome is, I'd love to see a repeat of that game in Charlotte. That's right.
We deserve that, honestly. If State stays healthy, Clemson stays healthy, that we would need that game twice. It could end up being like a Clemson-Louisville situation in 2016 where we should have seen Clemson-Louisville again, but we didn't get to see it. And, October 1st, the biggest day, I mean, it could be a Clemson-NC State game. It could be the birth of Baby Mac. We don't know. So stay tuned for that. It could be both. Right. It could be epic. But that was our Clemson preview. I hope you guys enjoyed. So much more to come. We've got Pittsburgh coming on Wednesday. So
let's go. Big shout out to Coach Sweeney. Thank you for joining us. Ross Taylor for setting it up. And then Ashley Spires coming in, saving the day, getting the upload ready for us. Coach Sweeney, he was a little excited. He jumped out too early. We got Ashley there to save the day. But, guys, thank you for tuning in. Another great episode of Gramlich and McLean. If you don't have SiriusXM, what are you doing? Go get the app, download it. You have it in your car. You have it on your phone. But we also need you to go over to YouTube and iTunes. I about said iPhones. What are we doing here? Follow our podcast. Subscribe to our channel. Would love if you guys left any kind of review or tell us what you want to see on the podcast moving forward. We would always appreciate that. But until next time, we'll see y'all.